Okay, anyway, there we go. Hopefully you can see me now. Okay. Dang it. Oh, this quick video because it's here. This particular markets. So what's going to happen is it's going to help you to understand how I actually take some trades, my mentality on it, and stuff like that to kind of help you out. And again, I'm outside and there's noise and da-da-da, so forgive me. All right, so here's the deal real quick. One of the things that I want you guys to know before we begin is hit the like and subscribe button so I can get this video out to more people. And number two, as far as in the signal service, we did 14 wins, 5 losses, and 11,110 pips from the scalping group. All right, so there you go. Hey, hey, what's up, D? So here's the deal. Let me get into this strategy to help you guys with kind of navigating these very, very volatile markets, because the market's been off the chain. And realistically, you can't do anything about the markets being volatile. The only thing you can do is do what you need to do. One of the biggest problem with traders is they stick to one, they're what some people call a one-trick pony. A one-trick pony means that you only have one way of doing things. So when things have changed, when the environment has changed, you have not learned to change. Are you understanding what I'm saying? So it's kind of like you go to the grocery store and you see a person who's still got the same type of haircut that they used to have in the 60s. Well, this is 2022. They haven't changed. They're still stuck in that one situation. They like that one hairstyle, and they have never changed their ways, and that's the way they are. And so therefore, they're not able to pivot and move and to keep up with the changing environment that they're actually living in. And so that's the reason why they look weird, because they stand out because, hey, man, that's the 60s. We're in 2022. You don't fit, right? Okay, so the same philosophy holds true for a lot of traders who are trading in volatile markets. What happens is you got one strategy, you stick to it, hell or high water, and even though you know it's not working, you're still trying to stick to it. Well, is it the strategy that was the problem? No, it's not the strategy that's the problem. It's your business partner. Please write this down because this is very important. You have a business partner in the Forex market, and you say, well, who is my business partner? The very one you're trading in, and that's the market itself. The market can become your business partner, or it can take everything you got. Don't ever forget this. The market can become your business partner, or it can take everything you have, right? And for some of you guys, that's exactly what's been going on for the last several weeks. The market has been taking everything you had, and it has not been your business partner, right? So how do you turn that around? Glad you asked. So the best way to do that is to have I like to have at least just 2 or 3 strategies. I don't like a lot of strategies, 50 different ways to do this and that, because you end up getting confused, okay? So the best way to have the adaptability to the markets is to kind of learn what the markets are doing. If you know that you're in a news heavy environment, that means that the market is going to be choppy, okay? So you can do what you've been doing, or you can pivot and change. So here's what I do. Right now, I do understand that the market is in an extremely volatile situation because I can go down a plethora of problems that the market is dealing with, and there's so much uncertainty. But the one thing I do is I always start from the higher time frame, okay? And I wish I had my charts, but again, I just moved, and I wish I can show you guys the lake. As you can see, it's kind of wide. My camera is watching it out, but the lake is right there, and then the pool table people are coming a little bit. A fish tank, we got a 220-gallon fish tank yesterday, and that's sitting there waiting to be put together and all this kind of stuff. So I don't have my office together. I wish I could show you guys on the charts, so you're just gonna have to take notes. If you're my student, we can go into this on Tuesday. Hopefully I have my office set up by then, okay? But just take my word for it. So the first thing I really always do is I go and stick with and some people like the daily time frame, but me, I like the 4-hour time frame to get the overall trend direction. Everybody hear that? So number one, get the overall trend direction. That should never change. Even if you're a counter trend trader, you still need to know where the market is. And the best way to get the story of the market is to actually go to higher time frames. And again, you can do it from the daily, or you can do it from the 4-hour. I know some people go to the weekly, but I think the weekly for me is way too far out. And hundreds of pips can move in one candle. So it's too far out for me. So the 4-hour or daily, okay? Number two, You want to pay attention to news. Most of you guys are technical traders, and that's fine. But in this environment, you can clearly see that sometimes your technical analysis sucks. Why? Is it your technical analysis that's the problem? Absolutely not. It's the environment that you're trading in. And so the technical analysis is to give you like a breakdown of what's going on. But it's kind of like going to the doctor and he's trying to prescribe you medicine before he realizes what the problem is. That's why when you go to a doctor, they tend to, ask you a ton of questions. Well, does it hurt here? How long has it been hurting here? What symptoms have you been having? So they have a concept in their head about what they can actually prescribe to you, but they don't do it yet until they collect enough data to make sure that their initial technical analysis on your illness has been diagnosed correctly. And when technical traders begin to trade during their technical steps, they have not done enough diagnosis on the market before they start applying the medication. Okay? I hope this is making sense. You're trying to apply medication before you have enough information to make sure that this is going to be the right prescription. What do I mean by that? Normally in a normal environment, yes, you could do your technical analysis, market up your charts, doing trends and support and resistance levels and all that. That's fine. But when it's in a volatile situation, you have to know that something is making the market sick. So it's not going to act in its normal routine. So you can't just approach the market the same way. So what you want to do is you kind of want to know what is causing the illness in the market. So you have to check news. Now, this is second nature to my students. You should know this. But you should check the news events first to kind of see what's going on. Now, here's what I do. And you can do this immediately after this video is over. The first thing you can do is go to, and I like to use my FX book. Okay, you can use any of them, but I like to use my FX book. And what I do is I will go in there and they actually have news events for today. You'll see a section where you can slide it over and say news events for tomorrow, or you can slide it further. And this is the one I use a lot, and you can do it now, is to go to the one that says news events for the week or next week. And it will pull up every news event for the entire week. Therefore, you will know well in advance exactly what's kind of going on and what can be facing it. Okay, so that is what I want to do first before I even take trades, because I got to diagnose why are you acting a fool. For an example, last week, some of you guys, you blew up your accounts before Wednesday or whatever, before midweek. We'll just say midweek. What was going on with the market? Well, the ECB, okay, the ECB or the euro. The euro was trying to decide whether they was going to raise interest rates or not, okay, which they haven't done in a long time. So up until that time, the markets for the euros were choppy and sloppy. Then you had news, you had different, I don't have everything to go in front of you guys, but checking the news in advance will help you to stay out of trades and to wait until after the news event have passed. Otherwise, you're going to be in these choppy, volatile markets getting chopped up, okay? So that's number two. So number one is check higher time frames to get the overall trend. Number two is to check news events thoroughly, more than you normally would, because there's something that's causing the volatility in the market. Once you understand that, you can make a situation into your favor by saying whether I want to trade during this time, or if I do trade, I know I don't want to hold on to this thing. Which brings me up to number three and my final. Here's number three. When I am in a good trade, sometimes I tend to stack on that trade to get me a couple of hundred pips. What is stacking? Okay, stacking means instead of taking one position, I would take multiple positions. Now, let me explain why I do that. Okay. What happens is, if I think that it has a good long-term potential, the first trade that I put on will be my 1-to-1 risk to reward. So that if I'm going for 20 pips risk, I'm going for 20 pips reward. That will be the bigger position. Okay, so let's just say you want to put on a standard lot and that's all you have, right? Okay, then put on 50% of your trade balance, or to trade amount you want to trade percentage wise, you want to put that as your 1-to-1 so you can get in, get out, you're done. You're locked in some profit. The second position could be smaller. The third position could be even smaller, so that as things are going up, and especially if you're using like Fibonacci levels, which we have custom built into our sexy analyst, You know, as it's hitting up Fibonacci levels, this next position is the smaller one. The next position is smaller. And the reason why we're doing that is kind of like, okay, give it to y'all, especially guys. Y'all know when you go to the barbershop and they give you what they call a taper fade, right? What is a taper fade? It's darker and taller up top, but as it's fading down, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. And once it gets to the nape of your neck or the bottom of your neck, what happens? It gets bald, right? So it starts off tall, but gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter as it goes along. That's the same way with your trading in multiple positions on the same trade. The first one will be your bigger positions, like the taller hair, the thick hair. That's the first position, your 1-to-1. The next one could be a 1-to-2, which would be a smaller position, just like smaller hair when you're getting a taper fade. Number 3 would be the smaller one after that. Okay, so now you're reducing your risk, even though you're trying to hold on to the trade. Do you guys understand that? Does that make sense? Okay, so that's a concept that I use to fade out. Now, when I first put the position on, all of them have the same exact stop loss. Every position has the same exact stop loss, but the target or take profits are set differently. And the amount that I'm putting on the second trade is smaller than the first. The amount I'm putting on the third trade is smaller than the less. Are you understanding what I'm saying? As the position moves into profit, you can actually move your stop loss into the first position's break even, so that no matter what happens, you are in a risk-free trade for your second and third position. Therefore, if the market becomes very choppy and volatile and shoots back real quick, you don't worry. You're fine. Who cares? Does that make sense? Okay? Type it in. I know we got a few people and several thousand to watch this later when we put it on the other social channels, but type it in if that makes sense to you guys. I want to make sure this concept makes sense, because what happens is you guys, some of you guys, you're just not pivoting and moving when the market is changing direction. That's your problem. You're stuck in the 1910s, even though we're in 2022. You have not moved. You have not changed. The market has changed. I'll give you a perfect example. Okay. And again, the signal service, we were 14 wins, 5 losses, and in the scalping group, they did 11,110 pips. That's astronomically beautiful trading. So if you haven't joined the signal service and you want to make money while you're trying to learn, I suggest you do that, because I'm actually taking signals myself right now. I eat off the plate that I serve, because I'm moving. I'm waiting for the delivery people for my pool table, all this stuff. I've been moving so fast, I don't really have time to focus on trading. So I'm still making money doing that, but that's not the point. Point is that one of those signals, here's what happened. Remember, we had 14 wins and 5 losses, right? But one of the losses, here's what happened. Mr. Elvis sent out an alert saying, hey, let's just close this trade as a small loss. He said, here's the reason why. Because the trend on that particular trade has changed. Did you hear what I said? He said, let's close the trade out. Let's just take a small loss. Why? Because the trend has changed. Did you hear what I said? That is part of you guys' problem. You don't know when to pivot and move when the trend has changed. The environment has changed, but you have not. And you're still trying to force your way of trading to match to something that doesn't fit. So there's not a balance or equilibrium. You're still trying to do this when the market is trying to do that. Let me give you another example. In our trading system simplicity, which if you don't have it, I'm telling you, you need it. But we give you a couple of different strategies to use. One of the strategies is how to trade with the daily trend. We call it the D1. You can go do the D1, you can do the D30 or the D15. What does that actually mean? You go to the higher time frame on the daily, you look at the direction of the trend, and when an alert comes out with an arrow, you only take the alerts in the same direction as the daily trend. Therefore, it's just that simple. You're just trading with the trend. See how simple that is? You're trading with the trend. But there are what they call midweek reversals. what happens? The trend tends to go the other way, and then you get a lot of pullbacks on higher time frames, which is where you get those reversals in the market. See, knowing when to change directions, having one or two trick, having more than one trick, maybe two, one trick to trade with the trend, another trick to reverse. See, knowing when. And when you're in consolidation patterns where the market is just choppy, 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 as I teach all the time, just if you don't know how to trade in those, stay out of it. Do you get what I'm saying? Let me close with this. I'm closer to the beaches now, okay? And you can see people going out and surfing on the water and all that stuff, and it's really cool. I'm a black dude from the hood, so you probably won't see a YouTube video with Uncle P, surfing. You understand what I'm saying? I love swimming. But you may see a video of me swimming, but a black brother on a board from the hood, no, you're probably not going to see me do that, okay? So watch this. What I do know is sometimes when the water is very, very choppy, even the best of surfers sit down. They don't surf. Even though they're expert surfers, they don't surf because the water is too choppy, storms are coming through, lightning storms and everything else. You tend not to see the average surfer on his surfboard during those types of storms. Why? Because the water and the waves are too choppy and unpredictable. Write this down. This is very important. They're too unpredictable. Okay, my pool table person just texted me saying they're on his way to bring my pool table. So I got to hurry up. So they don't surf when the waters are too unpredictable. So if you're getting beat up and you don't know, part of the reason why you want to go to the higher time frames is you can see how choppy the storm is. You can see the weather storm from a distance. And if you're seeing that this market or a particular pair that you're trading, I got my favorite pair. It ain't your favorite if it's tearing your account apart. So what you want to do is either look for other pairs that are not in the middle of a storm and they have predictable patterns, and you pivot and move and you go with trading those, and you can come back to your favorite pair once it's in a calm state. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay? So don't stay stuck on stupid on one strategy when it's stormy, or one pair or two pairs when it's stormy. If they're not acting correctly or in their normal process or way of moving, then you pivot and move. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't have favorite pairs. Well, I do have some favorites, but then I don't have a hardcore, this is my only pair, this and that. I like trading the Euro AUD. I love the Euro AUD. I like the Euro NZD and a couple other pairs. I love trading them. But if they're stormy, I'm sorry, deuces. I'm off to another pair. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Okay? Why? Because I can't stick with you just because, I'm a dedicated fan of you. I'm not a dedicated fan. I'm here to make money, to pay my bills. Okay, so therefore, if this pair is not working, then I must change. If I like trading reversals, which you've seen tons of videos of me trading reversals, but if it's not working, guess what? I'm gonna switch and be a trend trader. I will trade with the trend all day long and call it a day. Whichever way the market wants to move, let me leave you with this. The market is your boss. The market is your employer. The market is the person who pays you. Okay, humble yourself. You do not tell the market what to do. Your job is to diagnose the market's emotional field this week. Because it's kind of like if you ever work for a bad boss who always have bad emotions, just always moody. You understand? Have you ever worked for a boss who is always very moody? And you come in and you just got to wait and see what kind of mood they're in? Or some of you guys, I ain't trying to start no trouble, but some of y'all in a marriage like that, where if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. I don't agree with that, and I'm glad my wife don't either. But that's the way the house is ran. If she's moody today, then everybody's afraid to say anything. But if she's fine today, then everybody's happy. So what happens? The moment you wake up, what's the first thing you do? You have to diagnose exactly what mood she's in or he's in, and then you go and do accordingly. If they're in a bad mood, I need to stay quiet and stay out of the way. If they're in a good mood, you tend to engage a little bit more. So if you can understand that when you're talking about living in a home with somebody who's, kind of volatile, I ain't saying it's you or you. Just blink. Just blink if you sit next to the person who be tripping. Just blink. Just blink. Okay, I get you. Okay, you don't want them going off next to you. Well, is he talking about me? Did you tell him? To see, calm down. So just blink. Safety, right? Okay, so if you can understand that, your business partner called the market is the exact same way. It has mood swings a lot. And where the mood swings come from is where if Joe Biden says something, if Putin says something, if this happens over here, if that happens over there. And the bad part about it, these things can happen even if there's no news event. Now, the reason why we check news is to try to be as prepared as possible. But some of these things just, boom, they happen in that country. And you're just in the middle of a trade and all of a sudden, boom, ain't nothing you can do about it. Right? Okay, so what happens is when you look and say, okay, I understand that my business partner be in these kind of moods, I have to pivot and move. When I'm seeing that it's consistently being choppy or it wants to continue with the trend, it should have hit support and bounce back. Reversal traders, it should have hit a support level and bounced back. Did it? No, it didn't. Okay, so that means you want to continue in the trend. I got to trade with the trend then, if that's what you want to do. Cool. You're not respecting support and resistance levels, then what do I need to do? I need to stop looking at support and resistance levels and look at the trend. Are you, come on, come on, girl, come on. I know this has to make sense to you. The market tells you what mood it's in. You can draw up and mark your charts all day long, but if the market don't want to respect them, I'm sorry, there is nothing you can do except respect the market. You trying to demand the market to respect your trend lines. You trying to demand the market to respect your support and resistance, your supply and demand zones and your Elliott wave theory. You're trying to demand the market to do something as if you're the boss. I'm sorry, you're not the boss. The market is. So I can mark up my charts and all that, but if the market tends to move, then I have to pivot and move with it. Let me leave you with one more thought. What amazes me is a lot of traders, especially these never made a dime in a day in these markets, and yet they're the ones who are always trying to tell you, hey man, do these indicators repaint? Let me tell you how silly that is. What you're asking is, can this stay the same even though the market is pivoting? Now, I do agree that some indicators that repaint way too much, you should leave them alone because they're not. They just doing their own thing. They don't, you can't depend on them. But some of this is supposed to happen. Why? Because the indicators are trying to keep up with the mood of the market. You're trying to demand them to keep up with the mood of you. Did you hear? Oh, this is so powerful. God, Lord have mercy. You're trying to demand a system to move the way you want it to versus having a system that tells you what the market is trying to do. If you understand that, and I know we got a few people, and again, when we put this out on the other social channels, thousands will watch this later. But please type an amen if that makes sense to you. The ones who's watching now. You are in a business that will tell you what it wants to do. You cannot come to this market trying to do your own thing, people. Why do you think that the average trader never makes money? They're coming in with their agenda. They're not listening to the market. They want the market to listen to them. And you will never make money in this business. See, let me tell you something. In a relationship, they say it's hard when it's two queens in the house. You know what I mean? Where two queens can't live in the same house. You heard that term before. What it means is one woman is trying to rule the house and so is the other one. So they're in conflict trying to see who's going to run the show. Or you got a husband and wife who's always two aggressive people who's trying to run the show. And when you have two aggressive people trying to run the show, all you get is chaos and argument and for the kids, a scary environment. Why? Because there's no submissiveness on one end versus dominance on the other. There is no balance in the relationship. Now, notice I didn't say who should be this or that. I think that both should be submissive, the husband and the wife, and they come to an agreement, which is what makes me and Nancy's relationship work. Point is that in your relationship with the market, you're trying to be the dominant figure versus the submissive one. Now, I don't care whether I don't like that word submissive, then you shouldn't be trading in these markets. Because I'm sorry to tell you, in these markets, the boss is the market. You are the submissive one. And if you choose not to be submissive, your pockets will be submitted to the market. God Almighty, this is powerful. See, nobody wants to tell the truth, but this is the truth. You have to be humble in the markets. And if you don't, the markets will humble you. You are the submissive one. The market will tell you what it wants to do. You know the markets. You know that it's called a Euro AUD. You know it's called the USD JPY. The markets can care less what your name is. They will run right over you like you do not exist. Why? Because the markets have been there before you were born, and they will be there after you dead. The markets run the show. Your job is to come in and be humble and say, Mr. and Mrs. Market, what mood are you in? And if you see that it's blowing past support and resistance levels, then you have to become a trend trader because it wants to continue in that direction, possibly due to news events. And what can you do about it? Absolutely nothing, but just go with the flow. Are you understanding what I'm saying? This is why it's necessary to have more than one strategy. Okay, I'm out here in the nature, and like I said, I wish my camera could show you guys. It's kind of blurring it out, but I'm right here on the lake, right here, and stuff like that. So we've got nature going on and this and that. But I'm gonna wrap this video up because again, the pool table man is on his way here. I just got a 220-gallon saltwater tank. I'm probably making it into a freshwater tank though. That just came yesterday. That's here. Ceiling fans got to go in. Rain shower, plumbing stuff going on. Lanai's going in. It's a lot going on. So I apologize. I haven't been doing videos a lot and this and that. But I hope this video kind of helped you guys understand. Now, I did see a question. Somebody said, what comes with the sexy analyst? Me personally, I love the sexy analyst in combination with simplicity. I think it's a must because it shows me everything I need to know to kind of read the story of the market, especially from the higher time frame support and result. It got built-in support and resistance levels. It got built-in supply and demand zones. And by the way, the support and resistance levels, you can customize those to whatever time frame floats your boat. So if you want to see support and resistance levels from a 1 hour time frame, if you want to see it from a weekly time frame, if you want to see it from the daily or whatever, you can adjust that in there. It comes with inner trend lines, outer trend lines, which I paid $500 to learn how to do outer and inner trend lines. And then I decided, why do all that and market my charts like these professional guys do when I can just automate the process? That's why you have outer and inner trend lines. What's cool about the inner trend lines, which you can really use powerfully, it will actually, we developed it to have what's called a pip counter. So it will actually tell you, if you're using the inner trend lines, it will tell you how many pips you're away from the top trend line or away from the bottom trend line. Isn't that cool? So you can kind of know in advance, okay, it looks like it's close to the lower trend line. How many pips away is it? So you don't know that. But we built it so it actually read that for you and say, hey, you're about 20 pips from the lower trend line. You're about 40 pips from the upper trend line. So that's all in there. You got your Fibonacci levels. You have your Fibonacci retracement levels. You have 2 scanners that come with it, a trend line scanner and a support and resistance scanner. And it's all rolled in one. So I seen that question. So that's what comes with it. Okay. So if you want to trade on your own and you just want some cool trading tools to do your thing, I think the Sexy Analyst will be the best bet for you, okay? And we kept it really, really cheap. And by the way, 10% of what you do with that on your payment actually goes to nonprofit organizations. So when you scroll to the bottom of the page, you will actually see all the different organizations. We've been supporting them for years. I just never said anything to anybody because in this environment, people always think everything's a scam. So I never really said anything, but every person who has ever purchased something from us from day one, we have always been supporting these companies from day one for the last several years. But through the Sexy Analyst, now you can participate in that because 10% of what you do, it goes straight to supporting these organizations. Okay, so to get to that, just go to loveyourcharts.com, loveyourcharts.com, okay? But if you want to get a trading system and some education on a weekly basis and be in my class, then get this the simplicity system, okay? All right, you guys, again, now if you just want some signals, which I've been taking myself a lot since I've been traveling and moving a lot, go to the superezforex.com and click on the signal service and just join that. I'm telling you, it's the bomb. It's simple, it's easy, you can make some money, especially if you're just sick and tired of these charts, you're sick and tired of the volatility and you just want somebody else to do the work. I just say, hey, do that. You know, 14 wins and 5 losses. let me ask you a question. When was the last time you got that kind of, I ain't trying to be funny, but realistically, when was the last week you had 14 wins and only 5 losses? And in the scalping group, you did over 11,000 pips in a week. You tell me, if you're doing that, you don't need any of our services. If you aren't, then I strongly suggest join the signal service. Again, I'm taking signals from them until I get my life environment balanced out, because we've just relocated to a whole different state, and there's just, man, it's complete chaos. Oh my gosh, it's something. It was rougher than I expected. I was expecting a smoother transition, but you know, it is what it is. So that's why I'm taking signals, okay? If you have any other questions, just shoot me an email to superezforex.com. I'm sorry, superezforex@gmail.com, and I will be happy to do a video to cover whatever topic you want me to cover, okay? If you're my student, I will see you in class on Tuesday. Bye.